So good, so good, so good.
New year, new gear. Thousands of fresh active styles are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Save on top brands like Nike, Puma, and Free People, starting at just $35.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
There's always something new.
Plus, join the Nordy Club to shop new arrivals first, unlock exclusive discounts, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Kids. They grow up so fast. One day they're taking their first steps, and the next, they don't fit into the tiny sneakers they took them in. You blink your eyes and their princess dress is 2 sizes too small, and their dinosaur backpack isn't cool anymore. But don't cry because they're growing up. Smile, because you can profit off of it. For real, there are a bunch of parents on Depop looking for the stuff your kid just grew out of. Download Depop to start selling.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Yo, 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 and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Elliot. How you doing, boy?
Very well, thank you. I guess we're in that lovely period between Christmas and New Year, so I should say, hope you had a lovely Christmas. Have you got many plans for New Year's?
You asking me or the audience?
I guess both. Why not? Fire away. I'm asking you, I suppose.
Yeah, Christmas was alright. Family, well, my parents flew in Christmas Eve. My brother-in-law's parents came on Christmas Day, so it was a nice little crowd. I was so fucking knackered by the end of Christmas though, because I did a lot of like the cleaning and gift building and cooking, and I didn't get as drunk as I wanted to, right? All I wanted to do was just drink and be merry. And
you're doing the grunt work.
I mean, yeah, I had to, right? I mean, the grandparents, they are now busy, interacting with the kid. And then I guess my brother-in-law and sister are also obviously doing their own bits and bobs. But yeah, I was by my folks for like a week, and I could not get out any sooner.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, it was Boxing Day, was my parents' anniversary. We went out for lunch, but at that point, I was just like, you know what? I love my nephew, but this is a lot. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I live on my own. So I was just overstimulated at one point.
Yeah. Very social.
Yeah. So now I was like, I'm just ready to be back in my flat, just vegetate, watch football, go to the gym, be a dude. Like,
yeah, 100%.
So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for New Year's. Like, as much as I want to or should celebrate with family, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna sit at home and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I was like, can I just do that at my flat?
yeah. If we're not gonna really speak to each other, why don't we just do that in separate buildings?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Santa was great.
Good.
Santa paid a visit as well. My brother-in-law's dad dressed up as Santa
so cool.
On the day itself. Yeah. I got to share a few more pictures in the Discord. But yeah, a very wholesome experience, I want to say. What about yourself, mate?
Lovely. Yeah, a similar experience here in terms of seeing friends and family. So had my in-laws around on Christmas Day, hosting for the first time here at the house, which was lovely. And then saw my parents on Boxing Day. And then been seeing friends and family each day. So yeah, very much. I'm back at work today, which is a shame, but also it's fine because I've sort of like socialed out for a bit. Do you know what I mean? So it's given me a little bit of downtime.
Yeah, I completely get that. Honestly, I was buzzing to have today basically devoted to creating content, right? Because of the quick turnaround, the fixture congestion. Like, we've got multiple pods to come out, multiple articles, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, you can burrow away.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, because we've got what, like, is it 3 or 4 game weeks in the span of like a couple of weeks or something?
Yeah,
it's crazy, right?
Ridiculous. It's one where I say it's ridiculous. I'm buzzing about it, but it's also insane. So we've got Game Week 19 is 30th of December. Game Week 20 starts 3rd of January. Game Week 21 starts the 6th of January. So basically within the next 9 days, there's 3 game weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're having a shit game week, or you had a shit game week 18, it's like the instant turnaround is just gonna either make it worse, obviously, but we're hoping that, you can kind of bounce back from it a bit. And yeah, I mean, even we're seeing managers have to be a bit ruthless with drops just to get starting 11s out. I mean, spoiler, I dropped Solanke in one of my leagues, so yeah.
You said ruthless. Jesus Christ. Get with the rest of the world.
All right, but yeah, we've got a lot to dig into, so let's just get started right away. So listeners, welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. We are a default Fantrax pod. You've caught us on our free regular episode, and the reason I say free is because we've got extra content on our Patreon, mainly waiver pods, where you can help support the brand for $1.99 a month. It's really not much, just a coffee per month, less than even. But we truly appreciate it. Sometimes you get a bit of articles out there, some inside track stuff when we've got the time. But in terms of today's regular free pod, what I mean is that the format is that we've got 2 halves. In the first half, we do a data dump, and then we do a match-by-match recap, just Fantrax talking points. So basically of Game Week 18, then we take our halftime pint, and then after the break, we jump back in to catch up in our leagues and answer any questions that we get from our Discord community. Also, if you want to be a part of the Discord community, it's free to join. All you got to do is DM me for a link and I'll sort you right out. But yeah, it's a great community to be a part of. Obviously, we have different channels and rooms for chatting everything Fantrax, like waiver pickups, trades, etc. But we talk a lot of shit as well. We share food posts, beers posts, vacation posts, literally everything. It's a great brotherhood to be a part of. So yeah, you definitely want to get involved. But yeah, I think that's it for the admin side of things. So what we'll do is, Ross, please do a quick social plug right here.
Yeah, for sure. So you can message us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handles at BantaB. On Discord in the Draft PL channel, Banta Boys #6585. On Reddit, /Banta_boys. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube, all under the name of Banta Boys.
Okay, so hopefully you've listened to Ross. If you're listening to us on Spotify, if you've not already rated the pod, please do so, 5 stars only, and hit the notification button so you know anytime an episode drops. But if you're listening to us on YouTube, same biz, right? If you already rated the pod, please give the video a thumbs up. We truly appreciate it. And same thing, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification button, all the good buttons, so you know when a pod drops. And again, you're just helping the algorithms to help grow the brand, etc. Oh, and leave some comments. We read those too. But yeah, that's it. So now I think what we'll do is jump straight into the data dump for Game Week 18.
Ay. Fantasy with the Banta Boys.
Okay, so looking back at Game Week 18, we're going to start with key passes as always. The highest number was 5 by Odegaard and Aronson from Leeds United. And then 4 key passes by Anthony Robinson. And then a couple of Arsenal players, both Saka and Trossard. There's obviously a bunch of 3s, not going to list them all, but they're still on our notes if you want to pull up anything. So thoughts, Elliot?
I mean, Odegaard back to his ghosting best, which is, I guess, for those that have rostered him since the beginning of the season, a very welcome sight. I think and I know we're talking about the key passes, but lovely finish, by the way, on really well taken goal. I think the Aronson one is one that stands out for me because he's been one of those players since he came to the league, what would have been 3 seasons ago, maybe, before Leeds got relegated, that just sort of completely just failed to deliver. Looked really weak, didn't really look up to it. And this season, he's been a bit flighty in terms of, some games he's looked really promising and put up good numbers, and then he's followed up with, a 2.75 or a 3.5. But him at Leeds as well have obviously been a lot stronger the last few weeks, and he looked really good yesterday. I think, the growth, the confidence that DCL has right now is obviously helping because it means that he's actually taking shots on.
Yeah. Did you see that graphic of DCL's goals
Just
that
all
has
like
been
in a
going
line
around? Yeah.
It's
Except his
amazing.
most recent one, which is kind of the outlier. But yeah, I mean, he kind of did something similar when he had his 16 goal season as well a few seasons ago, where I mean everything was basically in the 18-yard box, all kind of bunched up between the two sticks. If you were to like kind of extrapolate lines and shit like that, but. Yeah, man, and obviously we're gonna unpack it a little bit about Leeds and their form and like the formation change and how well they're playing at the moment, almost like European level form in the league. It's looking really, really bad for the likes of like West Ham and stuff like that, who obviously like seem doomed for relegation, but the fact that Leeds are just picking up points like this, it's kind of ridiculous. And I mean, it's kind of weird. Like I would have never thought that, you know, a player would be able to rack up this many key passes against a team like Sunderland, let alone Leeds. But I mean, we had that surprise omission from the starting 11 of Ballard not being there. I mean, maybe that also plays a factor. What's also interesting from these numbers is that Arsenal, I mean, they probably played well in this game, but I feel like their results haven't been convincing. But I mean, that's what winners do, right? They win even when it's ugly or it doesn't look as pretty, etc. But yeah, they're really continuing with their title charge or challenge. And I mean, Anthony Robinson, man, like what a frustrating asset he must have been all season. And now it looks like there was no issue.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous because it's not even like he's been bedded in, you know, one game on, one game off. I guess they've had that sort of, by they, I mean Anthony Robinson managers have had that golden sort of moment where Cess has been injured at the same time. So hand has been forced a little bit. And obviously Robinson's coming in and with a kind fixture run to Fulham as well and just putting up really positive numbers, which is, great to see. And obviously I was very much someone that was like, you're at the point where you should be dropping Robinson. And then as soon as he's available, try and get him back. Because there was just no noise, and all of a sudden he's back playing back-to-back 90s. Yes, as if there's no issues. I would be slightly concerned that he might be being overworked, but that's not for us to make that decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what do you do as a manager, right? Do you just enjoy it until the wheels fall off again? Yeah,
I think you've got to just ride it because trade-wise, you can trade him if you want. Like I wouldn't be against it. You can see what the level of return is on it because it would certainly be worth thinking about. But I think we're at a point where you held him for this long. Just enjoy it and see what happens.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right, cool. Next category is shots and how many were on target. So highest number of shots attempted was 7 by Saka. He had 2 on target. 6 shots attempted by Kevin Schade, who ended up with a hat-trick. He had 5 of them on target. And then 5 shots attempted by a few players here. Carlos Alcaraz with 2 of his 5 on target. Raul Jimenez with 2 of his 5 on target. Semenyo with 4 of his 5 on target. And Phil Foden with 1 of his 5 on target. Thoughts, Elliot?
Yeah, I think the Saka one, 7... is a lot, but I don't think he looked brilliant. I think it's one of those where obviously he pretty much had the run of his fullback, don't get me wrong, but I mean a lot of you'd like to think that he'd be putting a few away, and I think he's sort of struggled for goal a little bit. Assist wise he's been up there. But I think if you're seeing 7, then you're, you know, even if that regresses to 4, you're still hoping, you know, you're going to get a couple of those. The Schade one is an interesting one, talking of players similar to Aronson that have been off and on. But Bournemouth look terrible, defensive wise.
Bournemouth are terrible.
But so I'd say with the Schade, I wouldn't be going in there. I'd say, brilliant, but I'm not going in there expecting that to be coming back. I mean, it could have been more, but it was literally Bournemouth were playing so high every single time Brentford got the ball. It was just get it long. Schade is unbelievably quick. Him and Thiago just tearing at them. So I think that's what I'm not going to be expecting that to be a repeat. It was more that he was just free all the time. I think some of the other ones, Jimenez played a lot better than I anticipated. Semenyo, the farewell tour, I mean, looks to have gone well, but that game, I say, it wasn't really a basketball match because it seems like Brentford were just countering all the time, but it was one where as soon as they went behind, I guess Bournemouth were like, well, we might as well throw everyone forward, and at that point Semenyo's got a licence. Is there anyone that stands out to you there?
Not really. I guess all kind of usual expected suspects, like Alcaraz versus Burnley, Jimenez versus West Ham, terrible teams. Like Brentford don't really keep clean sheets, and Semenyo's just been like a focal point for that Bournemouth attack all season. I think Phil Foden is probably getting more goal threat because of the involvement of Turkey. And I can't wait to talk about Turkey a bit later as well. But yeah, it's all usual guys. Saka again, reminding managers that, hey, I can still be a 1-1 overall any season. He put up a really good score with his assist as well. But yeah, I think all standard stuff for me. So I think let's move on to the next one. Accurate crosses, not corners. Highest number was 4 by only one player, Anthony fucking Robinson.
Yeah, I think let's apply a bit of the West Ham tax there.
Yeah.
But that not to dispel that he's not been it's not good to see. It's great to see. But I'm not going to sit here and act like that's, going to always be the case. I think he'll always put up good numbers. And I think he's done this in previous seasons where sometimes those numbers are by getting forward, sometimes they're defensive actions. He's not always bombing on. I guess it might well be that he's benefiting a bit from Kevin cutting inside. But whether that stays the same when Chukwueze comes back, if he does end up coming back to that spot. Do you know what I mean? As to whether those levels could go up further or they could come down.
Yeah. All right. Next is the outliers for the remaining categories. So tackles 1, highest number was 6 by Reece James. Dispossessions, a high of 6 by Emil Smith-Rowe. Interceptions, a high of 4 by Ryan Gravenberch. Clearances, a high of 19 by Christopher Aguirre. Yeah, Malik Chio got 21 or something like that a few game weeks ago, right?
Just literally just kicking the ball away every 3 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Successful dribbles, a high of 7 by Wirtz and Lewis Hall. Aerials 1, a high of 9 by Richarlison, and block shots, a high of 5 by Jan-Paul van Heck. Thoughts, Elliot?
Yeah, the successful dribbles, I guess we should probably touch on that unbelievable clip of Lewis Hall getting the ball inside his own half as the only Newcastle player, then dribbling it around about 4 Liverpool players. Have you seen this?
Wait, against Manchester United players?
Oh, sorry, Manchester United, not Liverpool. It's because I was looking at words. Just absolutely ridiculous. We all know that he had it in his locker, so it's good to see that. Richarlison winning 9 aerials is interesting. I guess, especially with those Palace defenders who are very good in the air.
Chris Richards was absent for this game. I think that also is a factor we need to consider.
That is true. But still, obviously, it's good to see because Richarlison does not normally ghost whatsoever. So the fact that he's even getting there, but I think that also says something to the desperation that Tottenham had in terms of just like lumping balls into the box.
Yeah.
So there is that. The tackles 1, Reece James, again, a player that we would maybe associate more with gaining points further up the field. To be gaining.
But he's a different player now, right? So
I guess so. He's been much more complete this season.
Yeah.
Game's over. Time to check my fantasy scores.
You using a VPN?
Why?
Because using public Wi-Fi without a VPN is like leaving your wallet open on the table.
Oh. Time to up my defense.
McAfee Secure VPN keeps your personal information private and is included in all McAfee plans starting at just $39.99 for your first year. Sign up at McAfee.com/online protection.
England fans would probably be beaming a little bit with the prospect of him being part of that squad starting 11 potentially as well. Because you speak to like a lot of, or if you listen to like a lot of interviews, of players talking about one of the toughest defenders that they face in the Prem, and a lot of people just say Reece James, like he's that fucking good.
Yeah, and he's physically amazing when he's fit and when he's playing.
When fit.
He gets box to box. Yeah, the issue will be it'll probably be April and he'll get a knock, and then that'll ruin the World Cup. But yeah, to talk of another player we just mentioned, I think if you're an England fan, you want Reece James at right back, probably Lewis Hall at left back, and you're sort of thinking we're covered.
Yeah,
if those two are fit. I guess shout out to Florian Wirtz. He looked really, really composed, really good. I'm interested to see what happens next week when Szoboszlai's back, because he had a bit more freedom, but then at the same time, Wolves tax.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of expected a bigger score from
Agreed.
Liverpool, but at the same time, I was not surprised that they conceded. That's how shit their defense has been all season.
I wasn't surprised at all, and I think they could have scored more. But I think Liverpool assets-wise, there's a few that performed really well. And Ekitike looked really good as well. I know we'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, I think for Verts owners that have held or that bought cheaply, at least they could see him raking in the points against the poor Wolves team.
Yeah. All right, cool. So now I think what we'll do is move on to our match-by-match recap segment. All right, so we're going to look back again, Game Week 18, as far back as the Friday, because that's when the first match was, on Boxing Day. Fucking weird to only have one game on Boxing Day, but here we are. Hopefully this changes back next season. But United versus United. Manchester versus Newcastle, really. Yeah, I guess certain fans won't like me, I guess, describing the match like that. But it was basically like the Dorgo and Dalu show for Manchester United. I'm not sure if now is like the time to lump into the Manchester United defense, just like for the short term, because of their amazing fixtures, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away, like that run of 3 is just like, maybe I'd be tempted. And I guess Gordon is up and running after, again, frustrating so many managers in the first half of the season. And I mean, we've kind of talked about this when we've potted, episodes ago about first half of the season, second half of the season form and, good assets just still being a good assets sort of thing. And then, yeah, we talked about Hall, getting all those dribbles and just being such a reliable ghosting pick at the moment. What do you want to discuss from any of these?
I think the United defence one is an interesting one. I think one thing I would pull out from there is Leeds away. I don't think that's a good fixture for Man United. Leeds are playing incredibly well. Leeds hate Manchester United.
Yeah.
So that, I think, I'd be interested. Very much, it looks like a kind run, but I think that Leeds team is looking pretty formidable at the moment, and they'll very much be up for that at Elland Road. So I think I'd be wary there.
Fair.
But I do think, Dorgu, the left back playing right wing, looked really, really assured. And I think there's been some conversations I've seen online last week about his, I guess, intelligence relating to Amrin's system and him sort of getting it a bit more than Dalot seems to. And I think the two of them worked well there because Dalot sort of had another defender on that side.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and I know we've seen Dorgu put up good scores for consecutive weeks with a goal and an assist. And I know that we've seen Dalot doing it, but I'm always mindful of getting carried away with either of those players because that Man United team can quite easily fold and collapse, and those two sort of can go missing quite easily. Obviously, with Mount going off at half time, we're seeing that United team just deplete week by week.
Yeah.
And you do get to the point where obviously it's next man up is interesting from a fantasy perspective to see who's going to take that spot, but you get to the point where you look at that Man United team that finished the game and they had no right to get a result in Newcastle. In terms of the actual team, you think surely at some point that sort of gets found out.
Yeah, I mean they were pretty much outplayed other than that just 100%. Great volley by Dorgu.
Unbelievable.
And yeah, I mean it's criminal because like Amram's just playing FM right now with his players, like sticking to this bloody formation and just moving players regardless of where they play originally. Like you mentioned, right? Swapping Dorgu from the right to the left and then, bringing on one of the Fletcher kids. I think, are they kids of actual Darren Fletcher?
Correct, yeah. There's Nepo babies.
Yeah. So, I mean, you bring up a great point with that whole Leeds fixture. That could actually be a proper banana peel for fantasy managers, like good on paper, bad on pitch sort of situation. So, maybe just the Wolves and the Burnley ones that you're really targeting. Yeah, exactly. I mean, those for sure, right?
Yeah, and I'm not saying, don't play them in that game. I'm just saying as in you go to like a fixture difficulty tracker and you see, I've got it open here. So Leeds away is like a grey neutral, should be relatively comfortable. And then, when you look at the history of the tie, and it's at Elland Road, and Leeds are playing really well, and it's going to be, what date's that going to be? I'm fairly certain that's, is that New Year's Day or New Year's Eve? or just after. Do you see what I mean? Like fans will be fired up, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting.
Yeah. So that one is January 4th.
Okay,
so
there you go.
It's like the weekend before work starts. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think
so even more reason to get shit faced.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people will be tempted by Heaven. And
yeah,
there's obviously he's ghosted well, and it does look interesting. But then, especially with a game like that, you're like a 19-year-old playing in a really fiery game, and so what's it going to be? Him, Martinez, Shaw if they're playing a back three, or if they're playing a back four, which they sort of tinkered with against Newcastle. Then that's a bit more interesting. But Yoro could be coming. I'm just saying that don't throw all of your eggs into one basket. I guess Martinez will be happy. They'll be happy to have Martinez back and get a clean sheet.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably take the risk on Heaven in this weekend or this game coming.
Yeah.
Also, it's just an excuse to name the pod Stairway to Heaven. So
very good. There you go. Yeah, worth it. You lose in all leagues, you roster him, but it's worth it.
Just for the pod name, yeah,
of course.
Okay, next game would be the first one on the Saturday, Forest versus Man City. This was actually a decent game. I thought Forest put up a great fight. A lot of positives to take from that game for them, despite the result. Igor Jesus and Hutchinson continue to save rosters that have been lacking forwards all season, especially Hutchinson. I feel like he's just been the better out of the two. I think getting his first goal of the season as well, or first goal for Nottingham Forest, so good on him. But really, from Man City, man, Cherki is, I think, the main talking point from this game. He's really been stepping it up since his return from injury. And now, I think, was this his first goal in the league as well? Yeah, honestly, what an asset that I'm sure a lot of managers would have gotten like round 6 or later, playing like a late round 1, round 2 asset at the moment.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. It was... Watching that game, it felt like every time I looked up, he had the ball and was either providing a key pass or taking a shot. He was just everywhere, and it seems like he's already built up a good relationship with Haaland.
Yeah,
and find it in the. I don't know. It's easy to make the comparison with KDB, but I think Haaland and KDB had that. Or Haaland's very much noted that he knew that once KDB had the ball, he could just make the run, and KDB would be sort of thinking, "I'm going to find him." And I think there was similar with Cherki. And I know you mentioned before that Foden's maybe seeing better opportunities. I agree, but I also think the option is Cherki's making Foden look bad because he's so good. Do you see what I mean? Like, you'd very much say at the start of the season, Foden came back into the team. We're like, oh my God, as in fantasy manager, oh my God, Foden's finally back to where he was, not last season, the season before. And, this could be great. And he's looked better. But and you think, and then the Cherki's there, he's like the rotational piece. And you look at it now and you go, no, Cherki should be on the team sheet ahead of Foden. Like, he is in the form that he's in. He's been insane. If you would say, right, Doku comes back from injury and they want to get him in, or they do bring Semenyo in and they want to bring him in, are you going to drop Cherki first or Foden first?
Yeah, probably drop Foden.
Yeah, at the moment, as harsh as that sounds. But he is making everyone else look better. Like the Reinders goal, great finish, but the ball from Cherki was amazing as well. And it's it's one of those where if you roster him, as I do, you feel like you've just found £1 million. Do you know what I mean? You're just like, I've picked this up for hoping it would be like a decent rotational piece, and instead you've picked up someone who's just every time he has the ball is scoring points.
Yeah, and ghosting well, regardless of attack returns.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, his key passes and shots on targets just falling out of his backside.
Yeah. All right, next game, Arsenal versus Brighton. Again, I wasn't fully convinced by this Arsenal performance, like I mentioned before, but yeah, another win for them. Is it time to invest in Odegaard? Like, he's looking really good. I'm sure Haroon must be absolutely buzzing that his boy is back. We saw Gabriel Magalhaes return to fitness as well. On the bench, came on as a sub as well. Diego Gomez is an interesting player that I want to talk about a little bit as well, because I feel like, yes, we've seen him be able to score like 3-4 goals, all sort of stuff, like in the league, out the league, etc. But we've also seen that he can shoot the bed, so I don't know if it's one of those situations you just take the rough with the smooth, and anytime Diego Gomez starts, you start him, find a spot in your starting 11.
Yeah, for me, I guess if we deal with Gomez first, for me, I don't agree. I mean, if you look, I know he scored this weekend, but scored, following up a shot on target. He only scored just over 16 with the goal. So outside of that finish, there wasn't any real ghosting there. And Matoma's now back from his illness, so he's back fit and back from his illness. And I think the knock-on effect on that will be, it's good to see Gomez getting minutes. I'd happily roster him. I'm not like saying drop him, but I wouldn't be going into a game being like, right, he's in my 11 guaranteed. I'd maybe be looking at the fixtures. I know that's funny after just seeing it's Arsenal. But if we look, West Ham 7.25, that's fine. Villa, they lost 4-3, so they scored 3 goals and he got 1.25 points in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So I can see the argument for the rough with the smooth. But I don't know if I'd be, he's starting the game, I'm playing him.
Yeah.
But I think Brighton are a bit of a dumpster fire for fantasy managers anyway.
Yeah, it's a very unpredictable source of points.
Yeah, 100%.
Wait, I mean, like that's the thing. They can be a source
though.
Of points, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
Just to jump into Arsenal, what are your thoughts on Odegaard? Because I know you suggested, is it time? What's your answer to that question?
I mean, I think definitely he's worth investing in, but you just need to expect the odd benching, the odd rotation, and the chance that Odegaard could re-injure himself. Like, he's not had a great season. But if you're willing, or if your roster, I want to say, can handle that sort of, I don't know, unexpected news, let's call it, then yeah, I think it's definitely worth it, because we're seeing like a lot of mid ones, mid twos kind of frustrate people this season. Like, for example, Morgan Gibbs-White, Mitoma, that sort of thing, right? So I think, if somehow you can package some of these other mids that have already put up a history of points, and hope for an Odegaard benching, like, I mean, look at managers that own Eze as well. Like, I'm sure he went before Odegaard in drafts this season, right? So, yeah, I just feel like Odegaard has now appeared as the best of the worst at the moment.
Yeah, no disagreement from me.
Yeah. All right, next game, Brentford versus Bournemouth. So no Seth Vandenberg, another surprise omission from this game week. But this was basically the Sade show, him getting a hat-trick. I mean, we've been banging on the pod about how shit the Cherries has been recently in terms of form. And yeah, I honestly didn't expect a 4-1 loss. That is what kind of shook me. But really, just two players to kind of talk about from this. I mean, the chef is back. Lewis Cook is back to getting ghost points, a reliable mid-4, mid-5 for a roster. I think you start him, don't even think about it. But yeah, Damsgaard, another game on the bench, but also another game that he's gotten returns off the bench. Quality player, but yeah, what are we doing with him?
I think you have to hold him at this point.
Yeah,
I think
same.
there was some consternation on the weekend of, he's been benched again, I'm just going to drop him. And I can see that argument, but who are you dropping for that's a better stash than him? Obviously, if you need to, you're at a point where you're like, I need to play in 11, like, I can understand that. But the quality's clearly there, and he's making a difference where he comes on. If we were to talk about a player, if we ignore the name value, and there was a player come into a team, Hutchinson's a good example, actually. So Hutchinson, 3 games in a row, came off the bench for Forest, made the difference, right? Or got an assist, or a load of key passes, or shots on target. The advice we would always say would be pick them up on the off, because if and when they do break into the team, you want to be the person that has that player, right?
Yeah.
If you treat Damsgaard as that player rather than the Damsgaard you drafted round 3 or round 4, that's the way I'd look at it, which is we're going through a really busy season, a really busy period of the season where we should see rotation. And if we're treating him as a player that is now on and off the bench, when he does come in, look to see what numbers he puts up. So a player that I want to call out from this game is Jan Alt. So I think I might have mentioned him in the Discord on the weekend and said I think he's worth a look just because he was taking the set pieces from one of the sides, and Brighton and Brentford are a good set piece team. Like, they will target those areas.
Yeah.
He's putting up points that have been, so it's 9.75 this weekend. The 2 game weeks before, both double digits. Taking the set pieces that Damsgaard would take.
Yeah.
So the points are there, potentially from set pieces. So my view with Damsgaard would be, if you have him, you have to hold him.
Yeah.
At least to see over this next, like we said at the start of the pod, 3 game weeks in 8 days or 9 days.
Yeah.
You'd expect at least 1 start there, arguably 2, because Jensen's hardly been putting up trees in his place.
Yeah.
In terms of not sets, but like in his position on the field. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. I don't know about you, because I'm invested. I do own him, but I think that in terms of replacement value, there's not going to be anything more valuable than him on the wire.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of, I guess, data in terms of corner kicks, because Brentford only had 2 of them, but Janel took one, Jensen took the other one. I mean, for me, like, eye test wise, Janel is pretty much like an all-action hero, like a total midfielder sort of guy, right? He can do a little bit of anything, everything. Mostly, like, we've kind of just seen, like, the dirty side of him in terms of just doing the steady Eddie work, all the defensive actions, not a lot of attacking returns or potential for attacking ghost points, let's call it. But, I mean, like, I don't hate it, but at the same time, is like, part of me, I still have that fear in the back of my head, is like, I know he's kind of capable of getting like 4 to 5 points, and I don't want to be banking on him to save my game week or whatever. And I feel like I'd always go towards maybe a defender instead and try to get a clean sheet, because I mean, we're going to talk about like the Leeds assets being options now. Like that entire backline is an option right now. Like they're pretty much doing like a Sunderland sort of thing where you can easily start any of them and you'd be happy with the score that you're getting, because at the end of the day, yes, they're a Leeds defender. You're not really expecting a clean sheet, but the ghost points have been consistent as well. Whereas I just feel like with Brentford, it wouldn't surprise me if tactically they just keep changing, pulling people in and out of that midfield sort of thing. And I think eventually it will kind of regress to the mean.
My point was about Damsgaard. I was saying treat him as like an action.
Okay.
Sorry, I was using Jan out as an example of has been picking up points in Damsgaard's absence, which purely by taking on some of the roles that I feel Damsgaard would have, not just set pieces, but slightly more of the attacking responsibility. So my point was viewing Damsgaard as in the like, I guess using him as similar to Hutch when he started to come into the team. If you treat him as a bench player that if he gets onto the pitch is doing good things, which suggests that going forward, if he were to do the same, does that make sense? So I'm saying if you reframe Damsgaard as, in your mind, as a bench player that looks to be trying to break back into the team and treat him that way, rather than Jan Holt I was just using as an example of,
Right.
We can see from Jan Holt, his previous scores, apart from the last 3 weeks, have always been terrible, right? Or pretty much, 6, you're looking at 6, 7, largely top. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that meme in. But then with Damsgaard, I think my point would be, it looks like the points are still within the team, and that doesn't always work, but largely there are some points there, and those you'd like to think would be some of Damsgaard's to pick up were he to come back into the team.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, we liken him to Hutch a bit, right? And Hutch basically got to a point similar to like Chukwueze maybe. Maybe Hutch was better at it, but now we're at the point of the season where people are actually playing benched assets and hoping that they get returns off it, right? Like, I think Robbie fluked his way into an Ollie Watkins brace in one of his leagues.
I did as well.
Yeah, there you go, right?
This episode is brought to you by Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels and music are made for each other. They share a rhythm in the craft of making something timeless, while being a part of legendary nights. From backyard jams to sold-out arenas, there's a song in every toast. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks. Tennessee whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee.
Coca-Cola. For the big, for the small, the short, and the tall. Peacemakers, risk-takers. For the optimists, pessimists. For long-distance love. For introverts and extroverts. The thinkers and the doers. For old friends and new. Coca-Cola. For everyone. Pick up some Coca-Cola at a store near you.
There's a reason Chevy trucks are known for their dependability, because they show up no matter the weather, push forward no matter the terrain, and deliver. That's why Chevrolet has earned more dependability awards for trucks than any other brand in 2025, according to J.D. Power. Because in every Chevy truck, like every Chevy driver, dependability comes standard. Visit Chevy.com to learn more. Chevrolet received the highest total number of awards among all the trucks in the J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study. Awards based on 2022 models. Newer models may be shown. Visit jdpower.com/awards for more details. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
I didn't fancy that gamble, but I mean, you look at like this upcoming game week where Brentford are at home versus Spurs in basically the last kickoff of the last day, and let's say Damsgaard is benched again. I mean, managers might be forced into potentially starting a bench Damsgaard, and if we're liking him to Hutch, would we take that risk then?
I mean,
Starting
if you're
Dams.
going on, it's difficult, but if you're looking at what he's done off the bench in the last few game weeks, there are certainly worse options out there. I'd rather do that than run out an Archie Gray.
Well, who just got his first goal?
He just got his first goal. But that's what I'm saying, though, in terms of like, if you're looking at, if you were going to have Damsgaard, if you're going to drop him, who really are you going to be able to pick up that is like really like is great in a 12-man? So I'm saying you might as well have him this weekend.
Yeah.
And see what happens. I think there's just a lot worse gambles you can make. If you drop Damsgaard, you know full well someone's going to pick him up as soon as the next waiver run goes.
Yeah, that's true. All right, next game, Burnley versus Everton. Fuck me, man. I knew Everton's attack was shit. I would have loved to hear what Vafnan had to say about this, but yeah, surprise Grealish omission. I mean, we've talked about them having like probably the worst combo strikers in the league, but it's fucking Burnley, man. Like, come on, like
I know.
And yeah, I mean, it sucks to say, but obviously, like, the obvious strategy for this fixture was get Everton defenders, and obviously they all smashed it, especially Michael Keane. But yeah, it's just a reminder that target Burnley, another team.
Yeah, 100%. I think I was having this conversation on the weekend that it's weird because Burnley have had a knack of scoring like all season. I say all season. I think there's only a few games they haven't scored in. It's been a real pain in the backside because you're like, target Burnley, and then you're like, oh, for God's sake, like they've had one shot on target and it happens to have gone in. But yeah, I think the Grealish omission will have hurt a lot of managers, especially those with very tight rosters coming into this game week.
Yeah,
I know you mentioned Robbie there, and Robbie did get burnt by the Grealish benching. 'Cause, he was, he's your lock.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is frustrating. But yeah, Everton looked really poor. Burnley looked like Burnley, which is relatively poor, but they had nothing. Everton, I think Beto, say they had nothing and then say Beto missed a sitter, but it, for him it literally has to be like on his foot as it's going over the line, otherwise it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Dibbling obviously scored quite well. Looked like 9.75, I think, which is promising. But you'd also like to think, looking at the previous scores from earlier this season, is that just a Burnley tax situation?
I think so, yeah.
I was going to say, was there anyone on the Burnley side that you found interesting? There was a few, Hartman has been dropped to the bench and Perez scored okay in his absence.
Yeah, but I think, again, I hate to say it, but this Everton tax, because their attack is so bad, I mean, all the double-digit scorers were basically defenders for Burnley, so it's like,
it's
okay,
bad
sure.
when Kyle Walker's putting up nearly 15 points.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, fine, just consider this as a one-off, and don't let this trap fool you for Game Week 19 as options. Just don't do it, man. All right, next game, Liverpool versus Wolves. So Andre is now suspended for Game Week 19. Szoboszlai should be back for Game Week 19, like you mentioned. I mean, like Wolves, I mean, basically we have nothing to say or nothing to talk about, but I mean, if you're a Dynasty League, Matías Mane is a player you should be looking out for. He's definitely the brightest spark from that Wolves team at the moment. And it would have been so fitting if Mane scored against Liverpool, right? But yeah, in terms of Liverpool, it's basically the new boys that we got to talk about, right? They've finally arrived, and I don't know if it's just okay, it's taken them half a season to finally acclimatize and get adjusted, or is it because there's been so many injuries, chopping and changing, that now they're being heavily relied upon as the only talismans left for that Liverpool team? But yeah, we're talking about Frimpong and Wits.
Yeah, I think the latter's probably it. I think Wirtz has just taken his time getting used to the physicality, and by that I mean the speed of the league, as well as the lack of protection, I suppose, or the kicks he might get. I think the quality's always been there, but it's been, I guess, partly as well. I say that it's been knowing what position he's going to play. There's no good. He came into the team 1 week. They were like, "We want you as the 10," but they don't really play with a 10, so they're giving him almost a false position. And you have Ekitike, who's new in front of him, and like a lot of players around him that were all sort of getting used to each other. So I think there's an element of him finally finding his feet and working out the pockets that he can work in within that team. I do think there's an element of that. I think Frimpong, for me, was slightly more impressive because he just came in and looked very assured on that right side. Yeah. And obviously it helped that he wasn't pushed massively, behind him on the left-hand side. But he was taking up some really good spaces on the right-hand side. Obviously he got the assist, but he was consistently, they were looking for him to break the lines a bit as well. And obviously, which is what we sort of anticipated in Mo Salah's absence, is that area then became free. If Salah is there, does Frimpong have it's not even necessarily the license, but have the space to run into?
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting one. But yeah, I think for those people that have held one or either of them, it was, a welcome bit of respite.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also, I don't want to say Will Stacks because I still think Wits is still a good enough player, but I mean, yeah, it's the clean sheet of things as well. And I mean, is Frimpong always gonna be able to have successful key passes from that right wing, or high up that right side, etc. So yeah, it's one to monitor. I mean, obviously you're still rolling them out, both if you have them and they're starting against Leeds. I expect Leeds to still have some joy against that Liverpool team, just based on how good they've been with that formation change and all that. But yeah, it's interesting times for these new assets, and what managers are doing. Again, we always talk about roll with them until the wheels fall off and stuff like that. But at what point do we actually consider maybe capitalizing on this sell high, trade high sort of opportunity?
Yeah, I think with the Wirtz one, especially because he's put up a row of good numbers, and including the goals and assists have started coming in, which is great. But like you said, with the mid one and mid twos letting a lot of people down, there might be people who are itching to get in an asset of that nature. So yeah, it's all about trade appetite, I suppose. And my thing with trading has always been have an exit point, or have a point where you're actually, if it gets to this value, I'm happy to take the leap or take the jump. So yeah, I think it's certainly, if there is someone that's itching at your door, if there's a Liverpool fan going, "Oh my God, I've got Wirtz fever now, let me get him in."
Yeah,
certainly worth hearing him out.
Yeah. All right, next game, West Ham versus Fulham. Yeah, we talked about Jedi. No need to bang on there anymore. So again, it's about the Hammers. Now they're starting to turn into basically a Burnley/Wolves team, where it's don't roster any of their assets, maybe other than Bowen or Paqueta, which kind of brings me to the point of, I mean, there's still class players in that roster, and it'll be interesting to see if they're able to do any smart business over the January window, at least some loans to kind of galvanize that team and bring the best out of their top assets. So is this potentially a buy low opportunity, or is this I hate to say this, a sell high, because it could easily get worse for them?
Yeah, I think outside of Bowen or Paqueta, I'm not interested. I'm really not interested. Mateus Fernandes is an interesting one as a stream, or having him for a bit and seeing what happens. Magassa, I'm interested by, because he's picking up some good positions, and has scored well, twice the last 3 weeks. But generally speaking, I'm not itching at West Ham lineups for streamers in terms of oh my God, there's going to be some great streamers coming out. I think we're seeing Somerville have been really poor from a fan tracks perspective. Their backline have just flattered to deceive all season. I really think outside of Paqueta because he might be on pens and Ghosts a bit in the midfield, and Bowen because he has the talisman sort of moniker and can score well with that. That's how I feel. I get the feeling you're the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in Bowen, especially in rosters where they need forwards, and it just feels like he's a 90-minute guy. You know what you're gonna get, and he's regardless of their results, he just does Bowen things every season. He's gonna fluke his way into some sort of an attack routine here or there, and I mean, it's better starting him than fucking streaming Beto or Barry.
Yeah, you are right. It's one of those where I guess part of the issue with Bowen is, I say the issue. In terms of Fantrax perspective, the name value is so high.
Yeah.
That you're not.
That's the problem as well. Yeah.
If you can get him at, I guess, the value of what he's been putting up, then I definitely prefer him to others around that area. But you're going to have to pay forward one. If that makes, like a high forward one, and that's the issue.
Would you rather Bowen or Eze?
Bowen.
Yeah, which is really sad.
It's really sad, but the reason I prefer Bowen, I love Eze as a player, but one, his role in the team is, iffy. And then when he does start, we don't know whether it's all going to come, it's probably not going to come through him. Whereas at least with Bowen, you're like, well, if West Ham score, there's a decent chance he'll be involved somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Bowen or Eze?
Bowen.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. Last game on the Saturday was Chelsea versus Aston Villa. This confirmed that football's a dumb sport. Cricket is superior.
Whatever you say.
A tale of two halves. It felt like a gut punch. Villa winning that game in the end. Listen, they didn't even have a fucking shot on target all in the first half. Badiashile did his best to kind of ruin that. Still shocks me that he starts first. At least in the league, let me say. But it was really only James and João Pedro that performed well as assets. From this game, now Cash and Kamara are suspended for Game Week 19. Arsenal fans must be so happy about that. Ollie Watkins, man, he is so fucking back.
Just in time for him to face his childhood club.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but I mean, the real question, I mean, this might not be a Fantrax discussion, but are Villa now genuine title contenders? Because honestly, I won't fucking mind it one bit.
I think Emery summed it up well at the end of the game where he essentially said, no, I don't feel like it, or something like that.
He said like there's still like 20 game weeks or 19 games to go, right? So
yeah, I think they're showing the mentality you would need. Like you said earlier when referring to Arsenal, you get the results and get it done.
Yeah.
My thinking would be at some point they'll get the nosebleed and be like, hang on, we're still up here. And things start to change. But at the moment, I don't see why they shouldn't be in the conversation, because they're playing like it, and they're certainly showing the mentality that you'd need to be grinding those results out. I think it's mad that Arsenal Villa game will be a 6-pointer at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess I just want to come on to Chelsea a minute, because I think a lot of people were doing victory laps about Enzo Fernandez not too long ago.
Why do you have to do this to me?
How do you feel about Enzo Fernandez's form in the last few weeks?
I mean, Chelsea's form in general, I don't know if it's a reflection, but I mean, I'll be honest, I actually benched Enzo in my leagues this game week, because I know it's been like a dip in form and stuff like that, and we're going to touch on league updates and stuff like that, but I mean, still a good player, good asset. I mean, obviously Cole coming back in kind of muddies the waters a little bit for Enzo's potential attack returns threat in terms of getting further up the pitch and stuff like that. We could see like dips and rises as well as the season progresses, because there's still other competitions to play in. Palmer might not start every league game as well, so I mean, Enzo's value is probably dropped now to like a mid 2, mid 3 range in terms of, at least based on his output that you're getting. But I mean, he's still somewhat of a reliable 90-minute guy. I mean, even if you get the odd bench or whatever, he's still gonna end up coming on as a sub. So I think you can afford to take that gamble and whatnot. So yeah, I think again, it's one of those players. Now he's kind of entered that fray of you're gonna take the rough with the smooth sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to hear your view on it as a Chelsea fan, because there was a lot of people that, he's the saviour, not as a Chelsea fan, but in terms of fan tracks, like, he's always going to get double digits, bang, bang, bang. I'm just looking at the numbers now. So at 5, 3.75, 9.25, 4.25, and 2.75, 6 a week before that. I think you're right in terms of it's about managing expectations. And like you said, you're like, hang on, I don't have to always start him.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time and a place. And I think just to reflect on Chelsea from an outsider's perspective, I think the sort of arguments we're seeing behind the scenes with Maresca, the ownership, the fan frustration, the fans realising that, similar to last season, the ownership have money first and they're thinking buy low, sell high, which is, a fine tactic for a lot of teams to take. But I think a lot of Chelsea fans, because they've had so much success, it feels like are quick to jump when things are going well, going, oh, you laughed at us, we were all, and look at us now, everything's coming up roses. And then when it goes the other way, the pendulum almost swings too far in terms of like, oh, it's all gone to hell in a handbasket. Maresca is going to City at the end of the season. He hates Big Ali. Do you see what I mean? I think there doesn't seem to be much just sort of like sensible, the team is young, there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. It's either, we're the Club World Cup champions, we're the best team in the world, medal biting, and then all of a sudden it's burn the club down.
Yeah, I mean, this is football fans in general, right? A lot of them are very fickle. Especially the teams that end up winning trophies. Like, there is always going to be a cohort of fans that are just so used to this level of glory that it's a standard that they constantly expect regardless of what the situation is. But yeah, I mean, you need to be a realist about, like you mentioned, the youth and the average age of the squad and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, it was never going to be about like potential. I mean, obviously, like when we were close to it, the title race and etc. It looked believable, but it at least gave, I think, Chelsea fans a glimmer of hope of what to look forward to in coming seasons. But right now, I think the target for Maresca and the club has just been get top 4. That's all they're kind of concerned about.
Yeah, I think my point sort of links to, I think that does have an effect on the players though. In terms of their output, and that then translates to fantasy output. That players see these conversations. They're on social media all the time. They see this. So if you are rostering players like this, I guess recognise that there is a volatility there that is partially emphasised by the fan base and by the conversation, the noises around them, like the Maresca. He's not helping the situation when he's coming out in press conferences and saying what he says around, this has been the worst week I've had at Chelsea. They don't believe in the players. That sort of situation. And I think that leads to situations whereby, or form that is not so positive, and then fan tracks assets that aren't performing how they might have done when things were going really well.
Yeah. So I mean, the Chelsea like set of players and stuff like that, it's going to be a bit tumultuous, I think, rest of season. So yeah, I mean, you just got to be careful with it and know when to start and bench players. Like, I mean, I even like a week before, like I think I benched Grealish versus Arsenal. I think like obviously we talk about start your studs, and I think it's always a philosophy you should kind of live by in fan tracks, and football in general is just very unpredictable. But yeah, I mean, if there's opportunities to make tough calls, sometimes the ones that win their leagues are the ones that kind of make the bold decision. Let's say it. Okay. What else? I think that was it. So the Sunday games, there was only 2 of them. Sunderland versus Leeds. First one, we talked about Ballard missing out. Absolute shock. Did not see that coming. Leeds defense as well, now really proving to be a streamable option at the moment. Like your defender 4, defender 5. Honestly, I'd rather be starting them than a shit forward like a Barry or a Beto. We talked about them all the time. But really, I think there's an asset that has emerged out of this fixture. Adingra, who I didn't even realize after we had recorded the last pod, was actually axed from the Ivory Coast AFCON squad. And now playing with Sunderland unexpectedly. Do you think, and we talk about, real life and stuff like this all the time. Now, is he now slightly motivated, and can we properly consider him as an option in Fantrax?
Yes and no. My view is yes, I think he's motivated and will play better. Do I want to roster him in Fantrax? No. So, brilliant finish. I'd encourage anybody listening, if they've not seen, to see the angle of the goal literally behind Adingra, where you've seen he's having the curl on it and how far. He's basically having to put it multiple feet to the right of the post in order to bend it in. And the pass from Xhaka was amazing. So, I do think he will have the bit between his teeth, given being overlooked for AFCON, especially as, I think he's very young, but he had already broken through, so he would be expecting to go. But I do think that his scores this season have just been so poor. Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, we as Fantrax managers, we really should know when to forgive assets. Like, okay, we know there are assets that have a history of like performing shit, and we stick by that or whatever. But the thing is, we've seen how good Adingra can be when he was at Brighton. Obviously, yes, he had a shit and very underwhelming start to this season as an option or an asset. But now, I feel like there's a bit of motivation, a bit of fire in his belly. It's like, okay, you want to ask me? I'll show you what you missed out on, sort of thing.
I do think that is a possibility. I guess it helps that the next game is City, so you're not going to touch him, and others probably won't touch him, so you can have another week to assess, I suppose.
Yeah.
But if we're in what we would call, we're in silly season now, where it's sort of, if there's a starter, you've got to be looking at them, because, if there's someone who's likely to start 3 of those games in succession, you've got to be looking at them.
Yeah.
So I don't hate it, but I wouldn't be going in with any sort of, it would be very much a crap, I need an 11th man punt for me.
Yeah, and despite it being against City, home game, and it's also the final game of the game week, so he's always like a good last minute backup
have
option.
On your bench if you need him. Yeah, I get that.
Right? So, yeah, it's just something to kind of consider. Obviously, yeah, I agree. You don't want to be relying on him this game week, though. Okay, final game. Is there anything you want to pick about the Leeds defense?
Obviously, Rodon looks like he might be out for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
And I know it didn't necessarily affect them yesterday, but whether that does have repercussions in terms of the way they play going forward, I think that'd be something to bear in mind. Because obviously they've been rolling out that back 5, knowing they had the solidity of 3 centre-backs, and then Ampadu, who can play at centre-back at CDM, so sort of had a very secure bit, allowing Goodmanson and Bogle to very much cover all both ends of the pitch on either flank, and whether they're able to have that same solidity going forward would be something to keep an eye on. But it's certainly a welcome addition of streamers. Streaming those defenders, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Final game, Palace versus Spurs. Didn't see this result. Well, I just never see Spurs winning a game. That's the thing. But it just seems like Crystal Palace is falling apart at the moment, man. It's weird to see Spurs keep a clean sheet. Richarlison maybe having a bit of a resurgence. It was really funny to see him score multiple offside goals though and celebrate them all. Romero should be back in GW19. Xavi was still missing due to his red card, Achilles bullshit tackle on Verge. I think he has a couple more games to go or whatnot.
He does, two more.
What to pick at from this one?
Palace just look knackered. There's no way no other way of putting it really. I think they are just very tired. But but their replacement options have been so poor that I can see why Glasner has gone the way he has gone in terms of just having to run the largely same 11 out. And I think Devaney, I know people have been excited to see him play. He was really poor yesterday.
Yeah.
He put up some all right points in terms of fan tracks, but I think if you look at fan sentiment and you look at the scoring on, which is, I know it's only one metric, but you look at like live score, sofa score, FOTMob, those sorts of things, he was poor, missed a sitter as well. I think Palace, it's a really difficult one. Pino played some really lovely balls, but still looks too lightweight and doesn't look necessarily up to speed, which is, I guess, the next game he'll come out and be brilliant, but that's what's so frustrating, where he sort of is able to look like Messi one week and then the next week look like someone who, has literally just got off the plane, from the Spanish second division sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just really difficult. Really difficult. I think LaCroix looked interesting. Could have had an assist. Maybe should have had an assist. So that
for that Mateta chance.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mateta looks woeful right now. I think he's just... Well, he's a streaky player.
Yeah. Shot merchant.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's just in the downward end of it. So it'd be interesting to see if Nketiah gets any movement there. But I think to bring it back to Spurs, which is what you highlighted before, they just don't look like scoring. There's just no cutting edge there at all.
Yeah. I'm surprised like Glasgow's not doing a Leeds and just going with the two up front consistently. I genuinely thought that was just going to be the perma play.
I mean, but he's a system guy, isn't he? That's the issue. It's the same as Amorim. I say the issue. It's fine when it works.
Yeah.
But he's a system guy. And I guess who would be the second two? Would be Nketiah.
Yeah.
But who we know is injury prone. Like, as in, my point would be if you commit to that.
Yeah.
Like, Sarr's out. So, you nominally could have had him. And then, is Eduard still there?
I don't know. Can Uche play second striker? Maybe?
Right, now we're talking. Let's get Uche. Well, if we were playing FM, Mateta, ride the bench for a little bit. You're kicking up a fuss about wanting to go to Serie A. Yeah, who's going to take you now?
Yeah.
I'd get Uche and Nketiah and then just say, let's see what happens.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think that should be it for the first half of the pod. So now what we'll do is take a quick break and we will be back with some league updates and some questions. So we'll see you in a bit. And we are back. Do you have any plans for New Year's?
I think we're just having a few people around for a few drinks, so nothing crazy. Just like a hopefully relatively casual evening playing some sort of board games, not in terms of like a serious Monopoly or Cluedo board games, but probably some of the ones that have come out in recent years.
In recent years,
like
I was going to suggest Uno, but
no, I love Uno, but no, it's a big potato games. There's a few that they've had, so that sort of
right,
it's like like an adult party game, and not adult in terms of like swingers party game, but I meant in terms of a bit more. You're trying to guess slightly sillier things than you might do otherwise.
Yeah, fair. Honestly, I would not. I would not mind a quiet one, mate. Like. Genuinely.
10 p.m. knock it on the head.
Oh yeah, like I'm happy to just like watch a movie or something in bed. Like I'm. The thing is, I would love to go and be my regular party self on a New Year's Eve, but man, my body doesn't process alcohol the same way anymore.
It's time is catching up.
It really is.
Yeah, I'm not a big New Year's Eve fan anyway. I think it is.
Yeah,
I say overrated. I think it can't be overrated because everyone always, 90% of people are like, oh, I think it's overrated. But I think it's one of those where it comes to it, we're like, I don't fancy doing anything. And then the day you feel forced to, I should recognize it somehow. And the next day you're like, why did I do that? It's always, I'll do the same thing next year. So
yeah. I mean, there's content to create as well, so there's an excuse.
I mean, it's very true.
All right, let's jump into some league updates now. All right, so I think what we'll do is let's start with DPL for both of us, and then I will just round things off with IGL. So I'll let you get started. How did your game week go? Standouts, regrets, concerns?
Yeah, so in terms of DPL, I absolutely hammered Robbie.
I I figured that was the one thing you were looking forward to talking about on the pod all
yeah,
day.
rightly so. I think there was one point on Saturday where it was very much touch and go, and we were both putting up very poor numbers.
Yeah.
But then the Watkins situation. So I was forced to play Watkins because all of my players on my bench were, because the lineup block, were not playing. So Munoz, Bruno, obviously not dropping either of those.
Yeah.
Szoboszlai was banned, obviously not going to drop him. Havertz literally just about to come back. I was like, well, I might as well see what happens. Chukwueze would have been happy to maybe think about dropping him, but there was just nothing worthwhile. Then the only other player was Hutchinson. And because I picked up Chiesa, I couldn't put Hutchinson. I was like, I'd rather play him than Hutchinson, given they're playing City. So I literally was just like, I just have to play Watkins.
Yeah.
And then I didn't actually watch the game, the Villa game. I caught up after. So I saw the score come through and was like, oh my God. Just messaged Robin, was like, see you later, mate. You're cooked. Watkins has done me. So in that league, I'm 8 points off top because I've had a draw, which is frustrating. But I'm at the highest point scores by well over 100, like 120 points. So the form is there. Scored over 100 in the end this week, which was great. Robbie just put up a really pitiful score, 66.75, which was unlike him. But
yeah.
And then so in terms of standouts, Lewis Hall, which was brilliant. Anton Stack looking just ridiculous.
What a guy.
So yeah, I mean, those that heard me previous episodes ago, I can't remember so I traded him out, and I can't remember whether I'd traded him back in the last time I came on, but I managed to get him back in just before the hot streak started.
Amazing.
And then Hutch on the bench, and the lucky one with Watkins, but very much welcome to see Watkins scoring some goals. I hope that gives him some confidence, because they were, decent enough finishes as well.
Yeah.
And then in terms of regret picking up Chiesa a bit and playing him over Hutch, but I think you've got to go with that opportunity. It was worth a go.
Fixture play.
Exactly, purely fixture play. Outside of that, I mean, I can't really have too many regrets when no one on my bench played apart from one.
Yeah, fair.
So there you go. In terms of roster concerns, the injuries in AFCON, like the bench that I've just touched on, is difficult to manage, and all managers facing this. I guess it's all about risk management. I think Chukwueze would be the one player who I'd think, and Havertz is an interesting one, but I think with Havertz, we've got to see what happens, because Gyökeres is so poor.
Yeah.
That you feel, I know it's weird that Jesus hasn't necessarily been given a look in, but I think, Havertz is the teacher's pet, and I think he will get some goes at it. Chukwueze, Kevin has been quite poor, I think, he in general, so I think the spot is probably his when he comes back, and given the situation at forward for many this season, it's worth waiting for that. And then even if I trade him out, because I've tried to trade him out now for very little, and there's not much value there, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, I've had Pope, so the last 2 or 3 weeks I picked him up and just ran with one keeper, with him getting nothing, but I've still won the last few games. I beat Robbie without a keeper even, and his keeper was Dubravka, who scored like half his points.
Oh my God! Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like Pope's back. How about you? How have you got on?
So it was a good weekend going into the end of the year. So obviously we're gonna start with DPL for me. So I won here with it was kind of a pitiful win. I won 88 to 63. Yeah, not a very high score, but listen, we take those wins regardless of how they come, right? So I'm in third place. 11 points behind Sharpie, who is just running away with the league. Like, his team is absolutely ridiculous. He's got like Hall and Dorgu, he's got Cherki and Bruno Fernandes, he got João Pedro up top. Like, at this point, like, I'd happily just take second in DPL. Like, I mean, it's a long way to go. A whole half season to go. Obviously, injuries can pop up, and form can go out the window, etc. So I'm still second on points for, so I'm still hopeful of a podium finish. Let's call it that. I just want second, at least just for the money and that sort of stuff. In terms of standout performers, there was just 4 of them. Sanchez, Mukiele, Spence, and Stark. So I actually dropped Solanke in this team. Just because I was kind of it was at the end of the sorry, what did you ask?
Who did you drop Solanke for?
Oh, for Jed Spence.
Okay, well, at least you got, 13 or something?
Yeah, I mean, I did it mainly because my opponent still had a few more players to go, and he had Van de Ven as well. So I thought, you know what, let me just try and match the clean sheet at least. I mean, it didn't matter in the end, but I just kept seeing those Solanke updates, and the last one just sent me like, yeah, we have no idea. He's returning. I was just like, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore, especially this time of the season where it's fixture congestion. Players are randomly just being omitted out of starting 11s or just squads altogether. You really need that flexibility, and because I've kind of dropped off like first and second place. I just need to try and get as many wins under my belt as possible. 100%. Right, so yeah, I mean, the regret is we'll see. I'm pretty sure the top manager, he's gonna try and get Solanke just because his forwards aren't really good outside of João Pedro, I want to say. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe I should have risked Ollie off the bench. I thought about it. I didn't go with it in the end. I just was like, there was a bit of fear, and you can't really always predict how well some of these off the bench performances can go. I mean, if you want to dig a bit deeper, Ollie's had a lot of success at Stamford Bridge over the last few times that he's played against us. So maybe that is a bit of a dig deep, data-driven decision, or a lot of D's in that sentence. But yeah, it is what it is. I was actually going to pick your brain in terms of roster concerns. Like, do you think there's anything I should be concerned about? And then I realized, wait, can you actually even see my roster at the moment?
I cannot.
So what I'm gonna do is pop a screenshot of it into the notes really quickly so you can see it. But yeah, so that is like my DPL team. Any concerns, any thoughts about that? Or do you think, yeah, you just roll with it and just chop and change a few spots like Spence, Matson and McNeil?
I mean, there's a few concerns there for me would be McNeil, Pino, Smith Rowe, Nico Riley. I wouldn't be confident about any of those four going forward. Even Nico Riley has dropped off.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it seems to me like I can see why earlier in the season this team was really chugging along.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's it. So Grealish, obviously that's difficult, and Enzo. But yeah, you've got Haaland, so you're largely good there. Tavernier, we'd like to think if Semenyo leaves, we'll see an uptick in form.
Yeah,
but it could easily go the other way, and that Bournemouth start to fall off a cliff a bit. Chalobah, he's sputtering. It seems like it's coming to a halt potentially. I don't know what's necessarily going to happen there, but I think you're clearly actively managing it. You know, in terms of being willing to bench Fernandes. And like Watkins, I know with bench, but and going with fixture plays, I personally think you've got enough flexibility in that team to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So I think, like McNeil, I know we've all been like, oh my God, whilst AFCON, we've got to pick up McNeil, but he's not putting up good numbers. Despite that. He's Pino, we touched on earlier, is frustrating. Smith Rowe, I guess you can say hot hand, and that he has been playing slightly better, but then this game week, didn't really do much.
Yeah. Another player that I considered benching, I think I did in another roster or whatever, but yeah, I mean, he did enough sort of thing, and yeah, it's like you said, I think there's a good core of studs with enough streaming flexibility, so.
Yeah, there's certainly streaming flexibility there, and I think you're always going to be across that. When I said Nico Riley, I wouldn't, in your team, you're going to want to keep him because in terms of a consistent floor of 6 or 7, that's fine. But I think the moment with Nico may have gone slightly in terms of where he was before, in terms of getting forward. Now that we've definitely seen Cherki really cement himself into that team, there's less of a need for O'Reilly to be bombing forward so much.
Yeah, I think it's also the Doku of things as well, right? Doku not being there doesn't really allow that space on the left for Nico to kind of move centrally when Doku cuts in and that sort of stuff. So there might be some sort of fluctuation. I don't know if it's also one of those situations where if Nico pops off in a game, use that as a trading chip 100%. Opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So, Okay, cool. So next we'll talk about IGL really quickly. So another win there. I won in the cup as well. So 106 to 100. I'm third place there, 3 points behind first, second in points for, and second in points against. So it's been a bit of a slog of a season, but we keep chugging along. It's gonna be a bit of a tight finish, I think, at IGL. But standout performers, 6 performers. Sanchez, Rice, Tielemans, Hilson, Harry Wilson, that is. Sorry, we combined names on the spot. Hutchinson, and then Mikolenko, my stream of the week. Getting the midfield benchings, I talked about it. It feels really good. We talked about Enzo and stuff like that. In terms of regrets, no regrets. When you win, we don't really have regrets. So I think I'll also pull up this roster really quickly and get your feedback on any concerns that I should really have.
So I think, you've touched on it that the mid is really, really strong. I think getting Cook in is such a solid one. I think with these players, none of them are wildly exciting outside of Bruno Fernandes on the bench in terms of the midfield, but you would expect, if you're playing 5 of them, an average of at least 50 from those 5. And that's exactly what you want. Obviously, I'd maybe think about trading one of those or using one of your midfielders as a trading piece for a forward because you are so light at forward. I think Wood's droppable at this point, given the news of him having surgery again the other day. But then I can see why you've held on to him, because without him, it's literally just Hutchinson and a man who can't use his legs in Beto. Which is difficult. But I think, Chris Richards coming back will be massive for you. But I guess my thing would be, given the wealth of 7 strong midfielders, is it worth cashing in on any of those? Maybe. But then will people see you coming?
Yeah, and I've tried with trying to get a forward in this league, and no one is budging. And at this point, I feel like I'm just resigned to going 4-5-1 every week, which I'd happily do so with Hutch as my forward one. Sad to say, but if Wood has now had this surgery update, I think at this point drop him like I did Solanke, and maybe use those midfielders to get some solid defenders. Like who knows? With Munoz's injury out, I mean, maybe it's a good buy low opportunity. Jedi performing well. I don't know if the manager is willing to budge there. Or just, again, with the flexibility of, dropping Wood, dropping Beto, grab a couple of Leeds defenders as well and rolling them out as part of my back four.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, one thing I would say is that obviously the transfer window opens in a couple of days, and teams near the bottom will just be throwing darts, probably, and they will be forwards, So it would be great if you could if you were just active on that and how that was looking. There will likely be a forward 2 that appears. And probably not on like a massive team, but you could easily see. So we know that Fulkrug is leaving West Ham, or it seems to be nailed on to be going to to AC Milan. They might randomly bring someone in that is serviceable, or they might bring in someone else in the league that elevates them to serviceable. I know in much the same way Burnley, I know we've had like Fleming and Brun Larsen have, toyed with, and Lar Foster early in the season, like, are they serviceable or not? It might well be that they bring in someone like I don't know, this is not a rumour that I've seen, but a Joel Pirro from Leeds, a player that is not getting minutes at Leeds, probably will go back down to the Championship, but if he stays in the league, it's worth a punt, might get penalties. I think with forwards, especially when you're looking at streams, there's not a lot of forwards this season, but you can always have them as a punt or a dart throw if you need to, because you're like, well, they're going to be in or around the goal. They might nick one. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think that's it for league updates. So now let's move on to our final segment, which is the questions. So we've only got a couple this time. I guess quick turnaround, and people are busy with their families, as they should be. So I'll just ask the 2 questions. So first one's from Andrew. Why is a triangle better than wolves?
That's a very good joke, because a triangle has 3 points.
Hey, they're probably going to set the new record for lowest points in the Prem.
I can't see how they don't, but the bookies don't necessarily think that they will set the record.
Oh, wow.
So the odds for them to score, let me just have a look. I've got a feeling the odds, this isn't an ad or anything like that, but I had a look earlier just because I was intrigued.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that they're favoured to somehow pick up points. I don't know how. I personally think they've got to break it because they are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Wolves to finish the season on less than 11 points is 6-1.
Oh, wow.
I feel like that. I'm talking myself into this now. I can't see how they pick up more than 11 points. They look so poor.
I mean, if you can spare I think 25, 50 quid even.
Oh, I wasn't talking that much. I'm talking £2 on. But I mean, in terms of, that's crazy. I guess the issue is they pick up 2 wins and they're nearly all there already.
I guess, but I can't see them getting wins.
Neither can I.
I mean, I say that now and watch them beat Manchester United in GW19. So
yeah, exactly. It'll be Strand Larsen hat-trick off the bench.
Yeah. And then the final question is from Ghost FC. Who will be the next manager to be sacked, Nuno or Parker?
Well, I think he was just asking in general, but I'm going to put it to you first. Who do you think is going to be the next manager to be sacked?
I don't think anyone's going to be sacked. I feel like
Nuno is the bookie's favourite, but I don't see it.
I don't see it.
They've not got worse. They just are bad.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone else is doing a horrific job. Okay, if Thomas Frank had lost this game versus Crystal Palace, I would have probably thrown his name into the ring, regardless of him being a fantastic manager or not. But I mean, after that, maybe Maresca, but I feel like Chelsea managers always have that sort of sacking sort of aura around them.
That's true. They walk in on their first warning, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think it's just gonna be the same thing until the end of the season.
Oh, I think if you were to phrase it as who's going to be the next to leave, that's interesting because I could see Glasner leaving.
Yeah. Agreed.
Given everything that's going on, I'm going to throw a name in there that I think could be the next to be sacked, and that's Iriola.
Oh, I think he's got enough credit in the bank, though.
I don't disagree with that, and I don't think they'd want to sack him. But if they get dragged into this relegation dogfight, I don't think that he's going to work for that situation. That's what I think he's got enough credit in the bank. But if you see, I think they're currently 8 points clear, which is a decent amount, but they've been dropping like a stone.
Yeah. I think in their last 10 games, they've only won once.
Right, there you go. If that continues and they get dragged into that mix, and you've got Nuno at West Ham, for example, Dyche at Forest, and Iriola at Bournemouth, who've got rid of Semenyo, not brought anyone in to replace him into a big name. As a Bournemouth fan, you'd be concerned that you've got Nuno and Dyche, who sort of you feel like would be able to grind those results out with those teams.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? And so my view isn't that he's not got enough in the bank. It's whether the ownership group look at it and go, right, we love Iriola, but we love the money of being in the Premier League more than that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely, but I can certainly see a scenario where that happens.
Yeah, I like the suggestion. It's a good one for debate, at least amongst fans. Football fans and stuff like that. So,
of course. Yeah, but no, I do also think it's interesting that you say that no one will be sacked from here, because I think that's nigh on impossible. I understand what you're saying. I think it'll be someone unpredictable.
Yeah.
But I can't see a chance in hell that we have 6 months of the Premier League season. Well, 4 months, 4.5 months, but half the season to go, and nobody gets sacked. That would be great, but I just don't think that's the world that we live in.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right, cool. Those are the questions, and that is the pod. Elliot, thank you so much for subbing in at the last second for Ryan. Ryan could make this one because IRL stuff popped up. Hopefully him and his loved ones are okay. My prayers and thoughts are out to you, Ryan. He should be back for the next pod and the one after that.
Brilliant.
But anything you want to say before we sign off?
I hope everyone has a lovely New Year's, and good luck with the absolute carnage that is going to be Fantrax over the next 10 days.
Yeah, man. We'll be in 2026 the next time you hear from us. So have a safe one. Enjoy the celebrations. Don't go too wild or go too well. Both are acceptable.
Your preference, yeah.
But make sure you're able to be back for the deadline on the other side.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, because it's, again, like we said, quick turnarounds, because Gaming 19 ends on Jan 1st. Jan 3rd is Gaming 20. So don't get caught out with all these waiver wire deadlines. Like, ours is going to basically run in like an hour or so. So definitely going to go place all my waivers and stuff. But other than that, have fun. If you have any questions, any dilemmas, come join the Discord. If you don't know how to join, DM me. We'll sort you right out. But I guess until next time, guys. Peace!